Welcome back. Welcome back. You are listening to Whissel Wednesdays here on KCBQ 1170 The Answer. My name is Kyle Whissel, your host with Whissel Realty, joined as always by my co-host, Mr. Jason Hall with the Carson Chargers.
Go Chargers, go!
And AJ Powers with Whissel Realty and the Powers Premier team. So this morning, pulling up articles, want to see what's topical, you know, in the world and in the real estate market specifically. And so I find this article in the Union Tribune that was just posted yesterday. So we're what, a day away from October right now. And the headline, San Diego home prices jump, Case Shiller says, which Case Shiller is one of the better companies out there that's tracking the markets and everything. But what's funny is this article is talking about statistics from the month of July. And we're pretty much in October right now.
Tomorrow's October. A few more hours and we're going to be in October.
Right. Which the scary part is when it's talking about what happened in July, it's not talking about what happened in July. It's talking about what closed in July.
Those contracts were written May, June.
Which means they're talking about what actually was happening on the streets in May and June. So think about that. When you're, thinking about buying a home, you want to know what's going on in the market. If you're checking the Union Tribune, it's one of the worst places in the world you could be checking because the information you're getting today, a day away from October, is what's actually happened in the market in May and June. So you're what? You're like 6 months, 5-6 months behind. Like that's crazy that the statistics that they're putting out there are so delayed.
Right. But that's something we've been talking about it every week on the show for over a year. You've been saying, hey, don't listen to the media because they're so far behind. They're so far behind. Listen to a local professional. Whether it's the Whissel team or somebody local, grab somebody. I know we have in studio the man of the hour right now.
So we've got Mr. AJ Powers here in the studio. And AJ, I wanted to have you here because you are that guy who's got his finger on the pulse. You're doing, more deals than 99% of the agents that are out there. So what's really happening in the market today? I don't want our listeners to read what's in the media of what happened in May and June. What's happening in the market as we head into the fourth quarter of 2015?
For me, I feel like we're almost plateaued right now. We're still seeing a little bit of increase in value, but it's pretty healthy as far as buyer and seller market. You've got enough inventory that we can supply most buyers, but still competitive, and rates are still good. I mean, Jason, you can touch on that. They're not the lowest point of the year, but they're also not anything that you want to shy away from. They're
definitely super low. It's a great time to buy, and we've talked about this each week. The fall is probably the best time to buy. And the reason we talk about that, it's supply and demand, right? There's starting to be a little bit more supply and a lot less demand. We have a lot less buyers seeking to buy typically in the fall time. So, yeah, exactly that, AJ.
Yeah, and a lot of people talk about, fall, winter are slow. I might wait seller-wise. And that doesn't make much sense because, it might be a little bit slower. There might be fewer buyers, but they're going to be serious and they're going to want to pull the trigger because they know this is the time to buy. So it makes sense for both parties to get on board, take care of either selling your home now because you're going to find a serious buyer and values are still high, or if you're a buyer, take care of yourself with the rates. So I think it makes sense for everyone to at least be out there looking if you're serious.
I love it. So AJ, one of the things that I wanted to get into with you is that, as we go into better markets, when markets are healthy, so people read this article, home prices jump, everybody gets really positive, thinks about putting their home on the market, and they've got to decide which agent they're going to hire to list that home for sale. And when they look around, there's such a wide array of agents that are out there. There's companies like I Pay One. I don't know if they're still around.
Not even around
disappeared,
anymore.
and then they came back, and I think they've disappeared again. But there's these companies that pop up when the market gets a little bit frothy, and they come in, like a Redfin, for example.
Discount
Redfin's
brokers,
still
right.
around. So there's these discount companies that'll come in and say, you know what, we'll list your home for, 1% or 2%. As opposed to, plus they got to pay a buyer's agent. Traditional has usually been around 6%. It's always negotiable. But there's these companies that come in and we'll do it for a big discount. And then, there's the companies that have been around for a long time, not these ones that, come in and out of the market when it's good and bad, that charge more traditional around a 6% rate. So AJ, what's the difference? What does somebody get when they go with one of these discount brokerages versus going with somebody like you and the Powers Premier team?
I think it just comes down to quality. Really, if you're paying someone 1%, let's just say it's a $400,000 listing, you're going to pay them a gross of $4,000. A lot of people may not know that it's really easy to spend that on marketing alone. Pictures, video, what you do online, Zillow, Realtor, Trulia. I mean, these things take up almost that whole amount of commission. So do you think someone's going to spend that full $4,000 to market your home? Or do you think they're going to try and keep as much in their pocket as they can and try and do this on a volume scale where I've got to do 100 deals a year to make the same as someone that's doing 30? And as soon as you increase that volume that they need, the quality goes down because they have to work with so many people. They have to cut costs everywhere they can. And really, you're just not going to get someone who is doing everything they can to market your home. They're going to do the bare minimum, and that's not going to bring you more money. Yeah, it might save you money in your mind, but the only thing you should care about is how much money we're making at the end of the day, which is really why paying a professional that does this at the top tier of quality and doesn't cut costs and does everything they can to showcase your home, it's going to make you a lot more money. It's not going to save you money in the long run.
AJ, I'm sure you've seen this happen. Kyle's talked about this for weeks also. Do you really want an agent who's going to reduce their commission down to like $4,000 as an example you used? When they get an offer, they're just going to get like, okay, great, here's an offer at $400. When if they would have worked with a traditional great agent on a great team, like the Whissel team and the Powers team, they could have gotten that house maybe for $410, and they would have made $10,000 more by maybe giving up an additional $4,000 to hire the right people. So they actually cost themselves probably like $6,000.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the listings that I've been taking recently, we've been selling for 5% more than most listings in the area. So if you're cutting commission by, let's just say 2%, but the agent could have made you an additional 5% on the sale price, you're actually losing 3%, which on a $400,000 home is $12,000.
That's a huge amount. $12,000. Can you guys imagine that, Kyle?
It's a lot of money to leave on the table.
A lot. So make sure you hire the right team. That's a great example.
Right. And we talked about at the beginning of the show, Hagen, how they came in and they just botched the marketing terribly. You know, they didn't do the right marketing at the right time, and then they were kind of chasing their tail, trying to recover from the mistakes they made. So, you know, what is the right marketing right now, AJ, that's helping you guys get more for your listings than what these discount brokerages are doing? Just give our listeners a couple things. And again, if you want to connect with AJ, you're listening to Whissel Wednesdays here on KCBQ 1170. We're talking with AJ Powers, Powers Premier Team at Whissel Realty. If you want to connect with AJ, learn more about what him and his team can do to help you get top dollar for your home, call us or text us 619-663-SELL, 619-663-7355. So AJ, share with our listeners a couple of the unique things that you guys are doing.
Well, across the board, it really doesn't matter if it's a $200,000 condo or $1 million home. We're pretty much doing the same thing start to finish, and that starts with professional photography, video, drone, Matterport, which you can hit on as really cool new technology.
We've got Philippe Heller with the San Diego Inspection Company coming on a little later in the show to talk about that.
Exactly. So start to finish, we have a process. It doesn't matter what it is. It goes through every single step, and really it's just a matter of making your home stand out and making sure that not only is the quality there, but it's everywhere that the consumers are looking. So really, it's come down to Zillow, Realtor, Trulia, Redfin, and then Facebook. You know, these are really, really big things. And, you know, I know you can hit on Instagram is going to be really big now as well. So getting ahead of these trends with marketing has been really big for us, and just making sure that we're always cutting edge and ahead of all of the competition.
And so that we understand, all right, we all hear Facebook and Instagram, and I think as consumers, we think, oh yeah, you're just going to put it on there. But it's like boosting. It's like actually paying advertising dollars.
Thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars advertising our clients' properties on these social media platforms. And, you know, Facebook, people are kind of becoming a little bit numb to advertising on Facebook, because in the beginning, you see an ad here and there. It wasn't a big deal. Now, when you scroll through your newsfeed, it's ads all over the place. So people are kind of just like Google. When you do a search on there, you know those first couple of rankings are the ones that people are paying for,
right? And
you almost just ignore those and skip down to the real results. You're seeing some of that happening on Facebook right now. So we're still seeing that we're getting eyeballs, but we're not getting as many as we used to. So the new one, we like to refer to as bleeding edge, because it doesn't even exist until, although I think it's opening up today, is advertising on Instagram. So those of you guys that are Instagram users, which tends to be the younger generation, millennials, and whatever the generation is before that, you know, there's a lot of eyeballs that are on Instagram. So they're coming out with an advertising platform. And being that it's a very visual platform, and we've got one of the best photographer and videographers in the entire county working on our team at Whissel Realty, we're able to take advantage of those eyeballs that are on Instagram and really drive a lot of traffic to the properties that we're listing for our clients.
And
the
you
more
guys can
eyeballs,
be specific
more money.
on who looks at that, right? That's what's key. And I want to make sure everybody understands that. is you guys are target audience who's going to see those properties. You're not just everybody on Instagram. You guys are actually doing what, AJ?
Yeah, I mean, basically, step one is figuring out who's moving into the neighborhood. So who, meaning where do they work? What age group? Do they follow specific groups on Facebook or Instagram? Figuring out who it is that's moving in the neighborhood. And then we can actually go in and target each of them. So we can say we want people moving from this area into downtown who are 25 to 35 and make this amount of money. And, if we know who the main demographic is, we want to hit them. We don't want to send it to someone who's 80 years old if we know they're not moving into downtown.
Right. And you guys can do it like who's engaged, who's recently married, who recently had a kid. I mean, these are all people that are probably going to be looking or thinking about buying a house. And if you can put a seller's home in front of those people sooner, you're going to get more views to look at that home and get the best dollar because, again, more buyers to a seller is a good thing. Right, AJ?
And not just more views, but we're not necessarily going with that shotgun approach of just like, let's just put it out there all over the place. We can be very targeted with a more sniper approach and really hone in on who is the most likely buyer for this home and run ads that are really going to connect with that specific person. So you can really hone in and you can run different ads to different demographics. So whether it's a younger demographic, older demographic.
All right. Let me ask you one thing, AJ, because I know you've done a lot of business. You've done a lot of stuff on the low end and the high end. So let me ask you, so far this year, what's your lowest sell price and what's your highest sales price so that, our listeners understand what you're looking at?
Lowest sale price, $225 for a condo.
Okay.
And highest was 2.7 for a duplex on the beach.
2.7 million on the beach.
Correct.
So you handle everything from the low to the high end. You can help clients out on both sides because you're a full hands-on team and you got a great group of agents on your team.
Yeah, I don't really care if it's a $10 commission or a $10,000 commission. Really, my goal is to just help everyone that deserves to have really good service and show them that there's not just one agent for any job. You want to make sure that you pick the right agent. You can go find an agent anywhere, but the difference in what you get with myself and most agents, I feel, is a pretty big difference.
Awesome. Again, if you want to connect with AJ Powers with the Powers Premier team over at Whissel Realty, 619-663-SELL, 619-663-7355. We're going to head to a break. When we get back, I want to talk to both Jason and AJ, find out what's going on with the changes in the FHA appraisal guidelines. You're listening to Whissel Wednesdays here on KCBQ 1170.
AM 1170, The Answer, and AM 1170, TheAnswer.com.